Welcome to this HFY story. If you enjoy science fiction where humanity defies the odds, survives impossible worlds, and changes the galaxy forever, you're in the right place. Sit back, relax, and if you like what you hear, don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. The lecture hall reeked of scorched circuitry mixed with stale, recycled air again. I could have sworn Professor Zarek had fried the environmental systems 3 separate times just this term. The old Velcran was hopeless when it came to basic upkeep, but get him started on gravitational physics, and he'd lecture non-stop until your auditory sensors begged for mercy. I lowered myself into my hover seat and let it recalibrate to my weight. All around me, students from at least 17 different species were doing the same. Some hovered effortlessly, others balanced themselves in odd ways. One overly enthusiastic Quillix had gone full commitment and was dangling from the ceiling because, honestly, that's just how they settle in. "Settle down, settle down," Zarek announced, his voice crackling through the translator wired into my neural implant. He clacked his way to the front on 6 thin legs, each step tapping softly against the floor. "Today, we'll be covering gravitational tolerance among sentient species," he continued, "and I assure you, this is where biology becomes truly fascinating." I had to fight the urge to roll my eyes. According to Zarek, everything was fascinating. The week before, he'd gone on like this about atmospheric pressure shifts. Before that, it was radiation resistance. To him, the entire universe was endlessly thrilling. A holographic display flared to life in front of us, filling the air with drifting figures. Gravity values, planetary profiles, survival limits. Zarek gestured toward the glowing data with one of his manipulator limbs. As you all know, our galaxy contains thousands of intelligent species, each shaped by the gravity of their homeworlds. The Velcrans, my own kind, evolved under 0.4 standard gravities. The Quillix developed at 0.2, the Brinty at 0.6. A Brinty in the back churred in acknowledgement. "But this," Zarek said, pausing deliberately, "is the critical point." He loved those pauses, lived for them. No sentient species has ever evolved on or survived long-term on a world with 1 standard gravity or higher. None of this was new to me. It was Xenobiology 101. High-gravity planets were basically death sentences. The heavier the pull, the more energy it took just to stand, let alone live. Skeletons had to be reinforced. Hearts worked overtime. Every bodily function became a losing battle. 1 standard gravity, Zarek repeated, is the universal upper limit. Go beyond it, and you're dealing with a world that will crush most species in hours, days if they're lucky. The metabolic cost alone is lethal. Arya, the Yelleth, sitting beside me, leaned in close. Her crystalline skin shimmered with soft bioluminescence. "You think he's about to bring up the Kravox expedition again?" she whispered. "Oh, absolutely," I murmured back. "He never skips it." Right on schedule, Zarek summoned a new display. The tragic Kravox expedition. Cycle year, 3012. A research team believed they could establish a permanent base on a planet with 1.1 gravity, Zarek said. They were equipped with exoskeletons, performance-enhancing compounds, the most advanced technology available at the time. He paused, again, always with the pauses. They survived 6 days before systemic failure began. 3 perished before rescue arrived. The survivors, he explained, spent months in recovery. One never fully regained normal function. The room fell silent. Even the ceiling-hanging quillix froze in place. "So let me be perfectly clear," Garrick said, his tone sharpening into that serious register he used when he wanted to hammer a point home. "One standard gravity is the line. Cross it, and you are gambling with death. No species can endure prolonged exposure to 1G. None. It is biologically impossible." That was when the door opened. Our lecture hall doors were high-end automatic models designed to slide open smoothly and quietly. These doors failed spectacularly at both. Instead, they screeched and ground like machinery that hadn't seen maintenance in years. Everyone turned. That's when I saw him. He was tall, taller than any Velcran I'd ever seen, though not quite Brinty height. His body followed a basic bipedal layout. 2 arms, 2 legs, 1 head. Pretty standard symmetry. His skin was an odd pinkish-brown shade, and thin patches of dark hair covered his head, almost black. But what really caught my attention were his eyes. They faced forward. Predator eyes. He stepped inside, and the floor answered with heavy, solid thuds. Not Garrick's light clicking, not the gentle padding of Yelleth movement. Real weight. Real impact. "Sorry I'm late," he said. His voice carried through the air as raw sound, not filtered through a translator. Deep, steady. "Had trouble finding the building." He glanced around. "Your campus signage is, not great." Garrick stared at him. So did the rest of us. The newcomer looked like he'd just realized he'd walked into the middle of something important and gave a sheepish shrug. "Should I come back later? I can come back." No, Garrick said quickly. His usually calm voice wavered. "Please, come in. You must be the new exchange student." "That's me." He stepped farther into the room, and I noticed the bag slung over his shoulder, just hanging there. No effort, like it weighed nothing at all. "Elias Rowan, from Earth. Nice to meet everyone." Earth. The name didn't ring a bell. I'd never heard of it. Marcus spotted an empty hover seat near the front. He studied it for a moment, then sat. The seat adjusted, then let out a strained whine. It clearly wasn't built for whatever he weighed. Garrick managed to pull himself together. "Welcome, Marcus. I'm Professor Garrick. We were just discussing gravitational tolerance in sentient species." "Oh, cool." Marcus dropped his bag onto the floor. It landed with a dull thud. "Sounds interesting." "Indeed," Garrick replied, turning back toward the display. But I noticed his manipulator limbs trembling just slightly. "As I was saying," Garrick continued, "one standard gravity represents an absolute limit. No species can survive prolonged exposure to such extreme conditions." Marcus raised his hand. Garrick blinked. "Yes?" "Quick question," Marcus said. There was something in his voice, not quite joking, not quite serious. Something balanced right in the middle. "What's the gravity on Earth?" Marcus asked. The room went quiet again, but this time it was a different kind of silence. Not tense, not fearful, just confused. Garrick immediately pulled out his datapad and began scrolling through planetary archives. "Earth, Earth, Earth," he muttered. "Where is it? Ah, found it." He read aloud as he scanned. "Sol system, 3rd planet, 1 large natural satellite." His eyes narrowed. "Atmospheric composition is, oh my." "What?" Arya asked. Garrick looked up at Marcus, then back down at the datapad, then up at Marcus again. "This record states that Earth has 1.0 standard gravities." "Yeah," Marcus said casually. 1G, give or take. "That cannot be correct," Garrick said. "That is biologically impossible." Marcus shrugged. I mean, I grew up there, so I'm pretty confident it's possible. Garrick's translator sputtered and malfunctioned, spitting out a mess of clicks and electronic buzzing. He froze, cleared his throat, and tried again. You are telling us your species evolved on a one-gravity world? Correct. And you can function normally under that gravitational load? Yeah, pretty much. Marcus stood up as if this were the most natural thing in the universe. He walked a few steps, then jogged lightly, then hopped in place. All the usual stuff, walking, running, jumping. I played basketball in high school, he added. It's a sport where you actually never mind, not important. He sat back down. The hover seat let out another strained whine. I could practically see Garrick's brain overheating. Whenever he thought hard, his eye stalks rotated in small circles. Right now, they were spinning so fast I honestly worried they'd detach. That is still not possible, Garrick said at last. The energy demands alone would require an extraordinarily powerful cardiovascular system. Your skeletal structure would need extreme density. Your musculature— Yeah, Marcus said. That checks out. Garrick blinked. You agree? I mean, I'm no bodybuilder or anything, Marcus continued, but back on Earth, I can bench press around 80 kilograms. More here, obviously, since your station's gravity is what, 0.4? 0.35, Garrick replied faintly. Right. So here I could probably lift, 200 kilograms, maybe more. Haven't really tried. Arya grabbed my arm. Her bioluminescent patterns were flashing wildly. Pure panic. Kale, she whispered, is he saying what I think he's saying? I think, I whispered back, he's saying humans come from a high-gravity world. That's insane. I know. Garrick had moved past shock and straight into full academic obsession. His eye stalks stopped spinning and locked onto Marcus. Tell me about your planet, he said. Atmospheric pressure? 1 atmosphere. Oxygen concentration? About 21%. Background radiation? Normal, I guess. We've got an ozone layer that blocks most of the dangerous stuff. Garrick was scribbling notes at a frantic pace. And your species evolved naturally? No genetic modification? No artificial enhancement? Nope, Marcus said. Just plain old evolution. Took a few million years, but it worked. This is extraordinary, Garrick breathed. Unprecedented. It directly contradicts established models of gravitational survivability. Does it, though? Marcus leaned back. The hover seat finally gave up and dropped him onto its solid base. You said no known species survives 1G. He smiled slightly. Now you know one. Sounds like your data just needs an update. I had to respect that. Garrick was watching his entire academic worldview collapse, and Marcus treated it like a typo in a spreadsheet. Soren, another student, raised a tentacle. Professor, if humans evolved at 1G, what does that imply about their physical capabilities? Garrick answered slowly. In theory, it means they would be vastly stronger than most sentient species. Denser bones, more powerful musculature, highly efficient cardiovascular systems. They would have to be, he added, simply to survive. I'm really not that impressive, Marcus cut in. I'm pretty average for a human, maybe even below average. I was never great at sports. You can lift 200 kilograms, I said, in low gravity. That's cheating. That's still 200 kilograms. Marcus shrugged. Fair. Jarek, a Threxian known for uncomfortable questions, spoke up. What about pain tolerance? Constant high gravity would place continuous stress on your body. You must experience significant discomfort simply existing. Not really, Marcus said after thinking about it. I mean, yeah, if you overdo it or pull something, it hurts. But just standing or walking, that's normal. We don't think about it. You do not consciously experience the force that would kill most species in this room, Zarek pressed. When you say it like that, Marcus admitted, it sounds way more dramatic than it feels. Arya was still gripping my arm, but her patterns had shifted from fear to pure fascination. Kyle, she said quietly, do you understand what this means? That humans are terrifying? That they're practically indestructible compared to us. If he functions normally at 1G, then here. She trailed off, doing the math in her head. He's operating at less than half his normal load, she finished. He could probably throw me across the room without trying. Please don't give him ideas, I muttered. Garrick brought up additional data screens. Marcus, I need to ask you further questions for scientific purposes. Sure, Marcus said. Go ahead. Can your species survive rapid decompression? Nope. We die pretty fast without air. Extreme temperatures? We're warm-blooded, so we can handle a decent range. But too hot or too cold, and we're in trouble. I am attempting to identify your weaknesses, Garrick said. So far, I see mostly advantages. We've got plenty of weaknesses, Marcus replied. We need food, we need sleep, we get sick, we age, we break. But in terms of physical durability, Garrick said, you far exceed most species. I guess, Marcus said. I've never really thought about it. That's when an idea hit me. Marcus, I asked, what do humans do for fun? He looked at me. That's kind of random. Humor me. Well, he said, lots of things. Sports, entertainment, hanging out. Some people like climbing mountains. I raised a hand. Hold on. You climb mountains? Yeah, on Earth. On a 1G world? Yeah, he said. It's called mountaineering or rock climbing. Sometimes we even do it with ropes, just to be safe. Some people do it free solo, Marcus added. That means no ropes, no gear, nothing. The room went silent again. At this point, it was starting to feel routine. You intentionally climb sheer vertical surfaces, Zarek said carefully, on a planet already attempting to crush you with gravity, purely for enjoyment? When you put it like that, Marcus admitted, yeah, it sounds a little unhinged. But it's fun, and the view from the top is worth it. Soren's tentacles shot into the air, waving wildly. What else do humans do for recreation? Oh, man, Marcus said, grinning. Where do I even start? Skydiving. That is when you leap from an aircraft and allow yourself to fall back toward the planet, someone said. Correct. Why? Several students asked at once. Because it's thrilling, Marcus replied. You get to move through the air. I mean, technically you're falling, but it feels like flying. Then you open a parachute and drift down. Usually safely, I added. Usually safely, Marcus agreed. Accidents happen. But that's true of anything. Arya had let go of my arm by then. She was staring at Marcus like he was a rare specimen behind museum glass, which, honestly, he kinda was. What else? She asked. Bungee jumping, Marcus said. You tie an elastic cord to your ankles and jump off a bridge. Why? Garrick asked, sounding genuinely disturbed. Same reason. It's fun. So your species voluntarily leaps from elevated structures, Garrick said slowly, with only a stretchable cord preventing death, for entertainment. Yeah. Oh, and cave diving. That's where you swim through underwater cave systems. That sounds lethal, Celine muttered. It's considered extreme, Marcus said. If something goes wrong, you're trapped underground, underwater in the dark, with limited air. Of course you have that, Selena replied flatly. Marcus was fully in his element now. There's also base jumping, like skydiving but from lower heights, so you have less time to open your parachute, ice climbing, volcano boarding. Volcano boarding, Garrick repeated. You slide down the side of an active volcano on a board. An active volcano, Garrick said again. Well, Marcus added quickly, not during an eruption. That would be stupid. That would be stupid, Arya echoed, sounding dazed. That was when something finally clicked for me. Humans had evolved on a world that never stopped trying to kill them. One standard gravity meant constant resistance, constant strain, and instead of breaking them, it had forged them into something stronger. Apparently, it had also convinced them that danger made good entertainment. Garrick was scribbling so fast on his data pad that I worried it might overheat. This will require a complete re-evaluation of gravitational biology. Entire theoretical frameworks will need revision. Every textbook— Professor, Marcus interrupted, I'm really just a normal guy. Back home, I'm nothing special. That, Garrick said gravely, is exactly what concerns me. If you are average, what are exceptional humans capable of? Oh, well, we've got Olympic athletes, Marcus said. They can do some pretty wild stuff. There was this runner who could do the 100-meter dash in under 9.5 seconds on Earth, full gravity. The room exploded into noise, clicking, chirping, buzzing. Soren released several involuntary puffs of brightly colored gas. Chaos. Garrick raised his appendages. Please, let us remain scientific. He turned back to Marcus. Would you be willing to participate in a series of non-invasive tests? Strength, endurance, basic measurements? Sure, Marcus said, as long as it doesn't mess with my class schedule. Excellent. We'll begin this afternoon? Garrick turned to face the rest of us. You will each write a paper on the implications of high-gravity species within xenobiological theory. 5,000 words. Due next week. The collective groan was immediate. This is important, Garrick insisted. You are witnessing a paradigm shift. Do not waste the opportunity. The rest of the lecture barely registered. Garrick tried to return to his prepared material, but nobody was listening. All eyes were on Marcus. When he stood, when he stretched, when he lifted his bag like it was filled with air instead of dense equipment and books. As soon as class ended, students swarmed him, firing off questions. How strong are you? Do humans have natural predators? Can I touch your hair? Marcus handled it all with impressive patience. Arya and I hung back. I'm still processing this, she said quietly. Same, I replied. He's from a death world, a real one. And his species didn't just survive, it flourished, then decided the environment wasn't dangerous enough. Humans are insane, I said. And impressive, Arya replied. Both things felt true. We watched as Marcus casually bent a metal stylus Soren handed him, reshaping it while chatting about Earth's history. He didn't even seem to notice the effort. You know what this means, I said. What? If humans can live at 1G, and there are billions of them, and they have space flight— I trailed off. Arya's lights dimmed. Oh, no. Oh, yes. Wherever they go, they'll be stronger, more durable, built for conditions that would kill us. They're like living tanks, she said, and they don't even realize it. Marcus bent another stylus into the shape of a flower and handed it to a delighted Quillic. Applause followed. "Should we be worried?" Arya asked. "Maybe," I said, "but he seems nice." "Today?" she replied. "What about tomorrow? What happens when humans realize how powerful they are?" "I guess we'll find out." Garrick had joined Marcus, animatedly describing the upcoming tests. Marcus nodded along, agreeing to everything, completely unaware that his mere existence had just shattered centuries of xenobiological theory. That afternoon, I made sure to attend the testing session. So did half the student body. The gym was packed with curious onlookers, all eager to see what a human could actually do. Marcus arrived wearing what he called workout clothes. Simple fabric, flexible, practical. He scanned the crowd and laughed. "I feel like I'm at a circus." "You kind of are," I told him. "Fair enough," Marcus said. Garrick had arranged the gym into a series of testing stations. Free weights, resistance rigs, endurance machines. Medical sensors hovered nearby, ready to track every heartbeat and breath Marcus took. "We will begin with something basic," Garrick announced. "Marcus, please step onto the scale." Marcus did as instructed. Numbers shimmered into view on a holographic readout. 79.3 kilograms, Garrick read aloud, at 0.35 gravity, which means your effective weight here is, he ran the numbers quickly, approximately 27.7 kilograms. "I feel ridiculously light," Marcus said, "like I could clear a building in one jump." "Please do not jump over any buildings," Garrick said sharply, "at least not yet." "Right, got it." "We must establish baselines first," Garrick said. Grip strength came first. Marcus wrapped his hand around the measuring device and squeezed. The numbers spiked, then kept climbing and climbing. "That can't be correct," Oren said. "That is what I have been saying all day," Garrick replied. Marcus released the device. "So, how'd I do?" "You registered 490 newtons of force," Garrick said. "For reference, the average Velcran achieves roughly 80. "Oh, is that good?" "Marcus," Garrick said carefully, "you could crush most beings' manipulator appendages without effort." "Oh, sorry." "Do not apologize," Garrick said. "Just be mindful." Next came raw strength testing. Garrick had Marcus lift progressively heavier weights. In the station's reduced gravity, Marcus hoisted masses that normally required industrial lifters. Arya leaned toward me, stunned. "He just lifted 300 kilograms. "In low gravity?" I whispered. "Still," she said, 300 kilograms? The endurance test told an even stranger story. Marcus ran on a treadmill while medical sensors tracked everything: heart rate, oxygen intake, muscle response. 30 minutes in, at speeds that would have exhausted any Velcran in 5, Marcus barely looked winded. "How do you feel?" Garrick asked. "Good," Marcus said. "I could keep going." "Your heart rate is only slightly elevated." "Yeah," Marcus replied. "This feels like a light jog." Garrick's stylus flew across his data pad. "Your cardiovascular efficiency is extraordinary." "It has to be," Marcus said. "On Earth, our hearts were constantly against gravity." After another hour, jump tests, reaction trials, coordination assessments, Garrick finally raised an appendage. "This is sufficient for now. Marcus, your patience has been exemplary." "No problem," Marcus said. "Honestly, this was kind of fun." Garrick's eye stalks rotated slowly. "Fun is one way to describe it." The crowd dispersed at a crawl, buzzing with conversation. "Did you see how high he jumped?" His bone density must be unreal. Humans are basically muscle and stubbornness. Arya and I walked alongside Marcus as he headed toward his dorm. "So," I said, "how was your first day?" "Eventful," Marcus replied. "Didn't expect to become a lab experiment." "You shattered nearly every assumption we had about gravitational biology." "Sorry about that." "Don't be sorry," I said. "Be careful." He frowned. "Careful? You're much stronger than everyone here. If you're not paying attention, you could seriously hurt someone." Marcus stopped walking. "I hadn't really thought about that." "Start now." He nodded slowly. "You're right. I will." After a pause, he added, "This is going to be weird, isn't it?" "Probably," Arya said, "but maybe in a good way. We learn about humans. You learn about us. That's the point of the cultural exchange program." "So they said." "Did the brochure mention you'd rewrite xenobiology?" "Nope. Definitely missed that part." We reached his dorm. Marcus waved and headed inside, moving with the same effortless confidence he always did, the kind built by a lifetime under crushing gravity. Arya and I stood there for a moment. "The galaxy just got a lot more interesting," she said. "Terrifying," I replied. "That too." As we walked away, Garrick's words echoed in my mind. Marcus was average, which meant billions more like him existed, stronger, tougher, built to endure conditions that would destroy us. And now they were stepping out into the stars. The galaxy was about to learn a hard lesson: never underestimate a species forged by gravity. When gravity stops pushing back, those species become something else entirely. And humans? Humans had been fighting 1G for their entire evolutionary history. We had no idea what was coming. 3 weeks passed after Elias Rowan flipped xenobiology on its head. 3 weeks of watching him move through our world like it was made of feathers and fragile glass. And I swear, it never stopped feeling strange. Professor Garrick published his initial findings. The reaction was immediate and explosive. 17 academic institutions erupted into debate. Some researchers demanded additional testing. Others accused Garrick of fabricating data. A few were already organizing expeditions to Earth to observe humans in their native environment. It was chaos. Meanwhile, Marcus was just trying to attend classes without breaking things. He didn't always succeed. "I'm really sorry," Marcus said, for the 3rd time that week, staring down at the crushed data pad in his hand. "I thought I was being gentle." Lyra, a small Pixith technician, sighed. "It's fine. We have backups." He hesitated. "But maybe request reinforced equipment." "Good call." I was getting used to scenes like this. Marcus would pick something up, apply what felt normal to him, and the object would bend, snap, or disintegrate. He reminded me of a child learning fine motor control, except this child was nearly 2 meters tall and strong enough to bench press a hover car. Classes turned into spectator events. In physics, Marcus demonstrated momentum equations by throwing objects well beyond the safety perimeter. Chemistry had to replace all its glassware after Marcus shattered 3 beakers just by setting them down too firmly. Biology had stopped pretending to follow a syllabus. It was just Garrick firing increasingly specific questions. "Do humans possess natural venom?" Garrick asked one day. "No." "Acidic secretion?" "No." "Retractable claws?" Also no. Garrick stared at him, baffled, as if disappointed. "Then how did you become apex predators?" Garrick asked. Marcus just shrugged. "Persistence hunting. We'd chase prey until it collapsed from exhaustion." He paused, then added, "Then we'd throw rocks at it." The classroom fell silent. Again. That was happening a lot lately. "You hunted," Zarek said carefully, "by making your prey too tired to escape?" "Pretty much," Marcus said. "We're not the fastest species out there, but we can just keep going, and going, and going. Our endurance is kind of our thing." "That's horrifying," Arya muttered. "That's efficient," Marcus corrected. By third period, we were in ethics and diplomacy with Professor Thane. She was a Trin, tall, elegant, four-armed, with a voice that sounded like wind chimes drifting through air. Her specialty was interspecies relations and conflict resolution. Today's topic was resource allocation disputes. Dry, incredibly dry, the kind of lecture that usually lulled half the class into a light coma. Then the alarm sounded. Not the fire alarm, not the evacuation alarm, the emergency hull breach alarm. Every light in the room snapped to emergency red. Professor Thane's calm tone hardened instantly. "Everyone remain seated. This is not a drill. Station command will issue instructions." My heart slammed in my chest. Hull breaches were rare, but when they happened, people died. One crack in the wrong place, and an entire section could vent into space in seconds. The intercom crackled. "Attention all personnel. Structural failure detected in Sector 7, Level 3. Maintenance Bay 12. All students and non-essential personnel are to remain in their current locations. Repeat, remain in place. Maintenance Bay 12. That was near the docking ring. If that section failed, it could take the whole area with it." "Is anyone in Sector 7? Thane asked, pulling up a station map on her tablet. Soren slowly raised a tentacle. "My lab partner went there for equipment repairs. Nico. She's Yelith." Arya sat up sharply. "Nico is in the breach zone." "I think so," Soren said. "She said she'd be in Bay 12 about 10 minutes ago." The intercom crackled again. "Update. Maintenance Bay 12 is experiencing rapid decompression. Emergency bulkheads engaged, rescue teams deployed, estimated arrival time 15 minutes. 15 minutes! In a decompression scenario, that might as well have been forever." Marcus stood up. "Sit down," Thane ordered immediately. "We wait for professionals." "Someone's trapped in there," Marcus said. His voice was calm, but tight underneath. 15 minutes is too long." "You are a student," Thane said, "not a rescue operative." "I can help." "Marcus, sit down." He sat, but barely. His eyes kept flicking toward the door. His hands clenched around the edge of the desk. The desk began to bend. Another announcement. "All personnel in adjacent sectors begin evacuation procedures. Breach expanding. Estimated containment time now 20 minutes. They were losing control. Arya grabbed my arm. "Kyle, Nico doesn't have 20 minutes. Yelith can survive in vacuum for maybe 5, if that." "I know." "No," Marcus said, already standing again. This time he didn't stop. "Elias Rowan, you will sit down right now," Thane commanded, all 4 arms pointing at him. "With respect, Professor? No." The door slid open automatically. "Someone is dying," Marcus said. "I can move fast. I can survive low oxygen longer than most, and I'm strong enough to force open emergency doors if I have to." "You will be killed." "Maybe," he said, "but I have to try." And then he was gone, running. I heard his footsteps hammering down the corridor, far too fast for anyone to be moving inside a space station. "That idiot," Thane muttered, already activating her communicator. "Station command, this is Professor Thane. A human student is en route to Sector 7. Yes, I know. No, I could not stop him. You should be aware he has exceptional physical capabilities. I looked at Arya. She looked at me. We should go after him, I said. She stared. Are you insane? Probably, but he just ran toward a hull breach. If he dies trying to save Nico, I'm not staying behind. That logic is terrible. I know, come on. We bolted before Thane could stop us. Behind us, she was shouting something about reckless students and death wishes, but we were already in the hall. Finding Marcus was easy. We just followed the trail of stunned voices. Did you see that? He was moving so fast. The corridors were marked with color-coded stripes. Red meant emergency route. We followed it toward Sector 7, pushing ourselves as hard as we could. Compared to Marcus, it probably looked like a casual stroll. We caught up at the security checkpoint. 2 guards were trying and failing to stop him. Sir, you cannot enter that sector, one guard said. A Brenthi, big, solid. Marcus didn't even slow down. Someone's trapped. Rescue teams are responding. Not fast enough. Sir, I will use force if necessary. Marcus looked at him. You really don't want to do that. The guard reached for his restraint tool. Marcus moved. One moment the guard was holding it. The next, Marcus had calmly taken the tool, set it aside, and stepped past both guards before they could react. Did he just... The second guard started. Yeah, the first replied. Arya and I reached the checkpoint, gasping for air. We're with him, I said. No one else goes through, a guard said. Then stop him, Arya snapped. How? Fair point. We stood there, helpless, staring at the sealed doors leading to Sector 7. Emergency lights pulsed. Alarms screamed. Somewhere beyond those doors, Marcus was running straight into disaster. He's going to die, Arya said softly. Maybe, I said, but humans are tough. They still need oxygen, she said. Vacuum will kill him. He knows. Then why? I swallowed. Because that's what humans do. They see someone in trouble, and they run toward it. Even when it's stupid? Especially when it's stupid. We waited. Seconds stretched out and blurred into minutes. The station intercom kept chiming in with updates, and none of them were good. The breach was still getting worse. Rescue teams were reported to be 2 minutes away. Still no contact from anyone inside Bay 12. Then, static. A voice cut through the noise. This is Elias Rowan. I'm inside Maintenance Bay 12. Every head snapped up. I've located Nico. She's alive, unconscious, he said, then paused. But alive. The guards at the checkpoint immediately started talking over each other into their communicators. One of them glanced at us, eyes wide. Is your friend insane? Probably, I answered. He just ran through an area that should have killed him. How bad is the decompression? Arya asked. Sector 7 is down to 0.2 atmospheres and falling, the guard said grimly. Oxygen levels are critical. Temperatures dropping toward freezing. 0.2 atmospheres. Humans needed almost a full atmosphere to function normally. Marcus was moving around with barely a fifth of the air his body expected. The intercom crackled again. Need assistance extracting her. Emergency bulkheads are sealed, trying to locate a manual override. His voice sounded tight now, strained, like he was fighting for every breath. Tell him to get out. One guard snapped into his communicator. Abandon the Yillith and save himself. He won't, I said. The guard turned to me. And how do you know that? Because I've been watching him for 3 weeks, I replied. Humans don't leave people behind. More static. Then Marcus again, weaker this time. Found the override. Bulkhead opening. Bringing Nico through. Need medical support at checkpoint Alpha. Arya exhaled sharply. He did it. He actually did. Moments later, the rescue teams arrived in force. Medical staff, emergency response units, equipment carts rolling in fast. A portable airlock was deployed. Everyone was shouting instructions over each other. Then the inner airlock door cycled open. Marcus stumbled through, Nico cradled in his arms. He'd wrapped her in his jacket. She was still breathing, thankfully. He looked like he was moving on nothing but willpower. His skin had a bluish tint. His lips were almost purple. His eyes couldn't quite focus. "Here," he rasped, handing Nico over. "She needs help." Then his legs gave out, and he collapsed. The next few hours were a blur of chaos. Medical teams worked non-stop on both of them. Professor Dorian arrived demanding answers. Professor Thane showed up looking like she couldn't decide whether to hug Marcus or shake him senseless. Station Command sent investigators. Arya and I waited outside the medical bay. No one let us inside, but no one told us to leave either. Eventually, a doctor came out. A Velcrin, same species as Dorian. "The Yllith will recover fully," he said. "She was exposed to vacuum for roughly 4 minutes. Her physiology allowed her to survive that long, but only just." "And Marcus?" I asked. "The human is stable," the doctor replied. "Severe oxygen deprivation, mild hypothermia, some tissue damage from decompression, but his body is unusually resilient. He should recover within a few days." "Should?" Arya echoed. "This is our first time treating a human," the doctor admitted. "We are learning in real time." "Fantastic. Very comforting." They let us see Marcus later that evening. He was lying in a recovery bed, hooked up to monitors, an oxygen mask covering most of his face, but his eyes were open. "Hey," he said when we walked in, his voice muffled. "You're an idiot," Arya said immediately. "Yeah," I added. "You almost died." "But I didn't," Marcus replied calmly. "You ran into a decompressing section of the station with no suit, no gear, and no plan," she shot back. "I had a plan," he said. "Get Nico. Get out." "That's not a plan, that's a wish." Marcus tugged the mask aside slightly. "Is she okay?" "She'll fully recover," I said. "Because of you." "Good." He slid the mask back into place. "The doctors said you shouldn't have survived," Arya continued. "0.2 atmospheres isn't enough oxygen for humans." "Not for long-term activity," Marcus corrected. "But we can function in low oxygen briefly. Mountain climbers do it all the time." Arya stared at him. "That's different." "Mount Everest is at 0.3 atmospheres at the summit," he said. "People climb it." "Why?" she demanded. "Because it's there." "That's not a reason." "It's the only one we need." Professor Dorian entered the room then. "Marcus, we need to talk." Marcus sighed. "Am I in trouble?" "That depends," Dorian said. "Do you consider being a hero a problem?" "I'm not a hero," Marcus said. "I just did what needed doing." "You disobeyed a professor," Dorian said. "You bypassed station security. You entered a restricted hazard zone and risked your life for another student." "So yes," he continued, eye stalks rotating, and what I'd learned was amusement. "You are in trouble." Marcus groaned. "You are also receiving the station's Civilian Valor Commendation," Dorian added, "and several departments want to study how you survived 0.2 atmospheres." "Of course they do," Marcus muttered. "What you did today was extraordinary," Dorian said seriously. "Most species would have died within seconds. You lasted long enough to locate Nico, navigate damaged corridors, override emergency systems, and carry her to safety while your body was shutting down. Humans are stubborn, Marcus said. We don't quit easy. Clearly. Over the next 2 days, Marcus became something of a legend. Students who had avoided him now wanted to talk. Professors stopped treating him like a curiosity and started treating him like a peer. When Nico recovered, she insisted on seeing him. She hugged him, which was complicated. Yllith embraces involved glowing patterns and biochemical signaling that Marcus clearly didn't understand. She says you have her eternal gratitude, Arya translated, and she's offering to be your bonded sister. That's a huge honor. Thank you, Marcus said awkwardly. I'm just glad you're okay. Nico released him and spoke again. She says she finally understands why humans explore the galaxy, Arya translated. A species that refuses to give up has something to teach the rest of us. We're just persistent, Marcus said, like those tiny bugs that keep trying to climb walls no matter how many times they fall. Ants, I said. Yeah, ants. Strong ants, Arya added. Stubborn ants that can lift 200 kilos. Marcus smiled. Okay, strong, stubborn ants. That night, a group of us gathered in the station's common area. Marcus, Arya, Soren, Zarek, Nico, and me. We were supposed to be studying, but mostly we just talked. I have a question, Soren said, tentacles waving thoughtfully. Marcus, Soren asked, why do humans help each other even when it puts them in serious danger? He shrugged. Why wouldn't we? Most species, Soren continued, are ruled by self-preservation. That instinct should overpower altruism, especially when the individual in danger isn't related to you. Marcus went quiet for a moment, actually thinking about it. I guess it's because we've figured something out early, he said finally. We're stronger when we stick together. Humans aren't the biggest species. We're not the fastest either. We don't have claws, venom, thick hides, or natural weapons, he went on. What we have is each other, so we look out for one another even when it costs us. Especially when it costs us. That seems wildly inefficient from a biological perspective, Zarek said. Maybe, Marcus agreed. But it worked, Arya added. It kept you alive long enough to become what you are now, a species of stubborn, persistent, altruistic maniacs. Marcus smiled faintly. Yeah, that sounds about right. Nico spoke then, her voice musical and soft. Arya listened, then translated. She wants to know what Earth is like. Marcus's expression changed immediately. He smiled, really smiled. It's beautiful, he said. Blue oceans, green forests, white clouds drifting over everything, mountains so tall they feel like they're holding up the sky, deserts that go on forever. We have frozen polar caps and steaming jungles, he continued, and just about every climate you can imagine in between. And one full G of gravity crushing you every second, I added. You get used to it, Marcus said easily. After a while, you don't even notice. He paused, then reconsidered. Okay, that's not entirely true. You notice when you're carrying something heavy, or climbing stairs, or when you're exhausted and just want to lie down. But it's home, he said quietly, so you adapt. Humans adapt to everything, Soren said. That might be your real superpower. Maybe, Marcus replied. We talked long into the station's artificial night. Marcus told us about Earth's history, its wars and fragile pieces, its inventions and catastrophes, its art, music, and stories. He explained pizza, basketball, ocean surfing, and 1,000 other things that made absolutely no sense in zero gravity. And somewhere during all of that, something clicked for me. Humans weren't just physically durable. They were mentally unbreakable. They had survived ice ages, plagues, and their own worst instincts. They built civilizations in places that should never have supported life. They looked at a 1G world filled with predators, disasters, and constant pressure, and said, "This is fine. We'll make it work." Later, after everyone else had drifted off, Arya and I walked back toward our dormitory. Marcus had already returned to his room, still recovering from oxygen deprivation. "What do you think happens now?" Arya asked. "With what?" "With humans," she said. "Now that we know what they're like, now that the galaxy knows." I thought about it. "I think everything changes," I said. "We thought we understood the limits of biology. We were wrong. Humans push past those limits just by existing." "Do you think more of them will come?" she asked. "Definitely," I said. "Marcus said Earth has over 8 billion people. They have space flight and curiosity. Of course more will come." "And when they do?" Arya asked. Images flashed through my mind. Marcus running toward danger, Marcus lifting weights that would crush me, Marcus surviving conditions that should have killed him, Marcus pulling Nico from vacuum without hesitation. "When they do," I said slowly, "they're going to change everything." And honestly, I think that might be exactly what the galaxy needs. We reached our dorm. Arya stopped outside her door and turned to me. "Kale, I've decided something." "What?" "I want to visit Earth someday." "In 1G?" I stared at her. "Are you insane?" "Probably," she admitted. "But if Marcus can survive our low gravity, maybe we can survive his high gravity. At least for a little while." "I want to see the world that made humans," she said. "The planet that shaped them into something so strong, stubborn, and brave." "You'll need an exoskeleton," I pointed out. "Then I'll get an exoskeleton." "I want to see mountains that touch the sky," she said. "I want to see oceans under full gravity. I want to understand." I thought about it, and for the first time, the idea didn't sound impossible. "You know what?" I said after a moment. "Me too." Arya blinked. "Really?" "Really. If we're going to share a galaxy with humans, we should probably understand the world that made them." She smiled. "Deal." "Deal," I said. "After we graduate, we visit Earth." The next morning, I woke up to discover that Marcus had already been cleared by medical. Somehow, he was back in class as if nothing had happened, taking notes, joining discussions, acting like he hadn't almost died 48 hours earlier. Professor Zarek was lecturing on adaptive biology, an oddly timely topic. "As recent events have demonstrated," he said, casting a very deliberate glance at Marcus, "our assumptions about gravitational limits were flawed. This should serve as a reminder," he continued, "never to assume you understand the boundaries of possibility. The universe has a habit of correcting arrogance." "Or terrifying us," Zarek muttered under his breath. "Yes," Zarek said dryly, "that as well." After class, Marcus caught up to me in the corridor. "Hey, Kale," he said, "can I ask you something?" "Sure." "Why did you and Arya follow me toward the breach? You could have stayed somewhere safe." I thought about it for a second. "Honestly, I'm not sure," I said. "It just felt important." "You were running toward danger," I added, "and letting you do that alone didn't feel right." Marcus smiled. "See? That's exactly what I mean." "Humans don't have a monopoly on courage," he said, "or stupidity. Every species has both." "Maybe," I said, "but you make it look easy." "It wasn't," he said immediately. "I was terrified." When I was in Sector 7, I was convinced I was going to die. My lungs were on fire. My head was pounding. Everything hurt. But you kept going, I said. What choice did I have? He replied. Nico needed help. And that's when it clicked for me. The difference wasn't that humans felt no fear. It wasn't that they were indestructible. It was that they moved forward anyway, through pain, through terror, through every instinct telling them to stop. You're something else, Elias Rowan, I said. He shook his head. I'm just a guy from a high-gravity planet. No, I said. You're proof that impossible is just a word for something we haven't figured out yet. He laughed. I like that. Feel free to use it. 3 months later, Professor Zarek published his complete research on human biology. It became mandatory reading at universities across 12 star systems. Scientists called it revolutionary, paradigm-shifting, groundbreaking. Marcus was still just Marcus, showing up to class, accidentally breaking equipment, helping anyone who asked, and quietly proving that the galaxy was stranger, bigger, and more incredible than we'd believed. As for me, I threw myself into xenobiology with renewed purpose. Because if humans could exist, what else was out there? What other assumptions were we clinging to that would eventually shatter? The galaxy was full of surprises, and humans were only the beginning. On my desk sat a photo Marcus had shared with me, Earth, seen from orbit. A brilliant blue sphere wrapped in white clouds, turning slowly in the dark. One full gravity pressing down on everything. 8 billion humans live there, fighting gravity every day, growing stronger because of it. Professor Zarek had been wrong. One standard gravity wasn't a limit. It wasn't a boundary. It was just another challenge, another mountain waiting to be climbed. And humans? Humans specialized in climbing mountains. The rest of us were only just learning how to keep up.